The morning sun poured through the wide glass windows of the café, warming the wooden floors and casting gentle shadows that swayed with each passing customer. But nothing about the peaceful morning inside could soften the storm brewing in the heart of the young woman who pushed the café door open. Her hands trembled on the grips of her crutches, her breath uneven, her eyes glossy with exhaustion. She paused at the entrance, gathering courage she wasn't sure she still had. Her single prosthetic leg clicked softly against the tiles, a reminder with every step that her life had changed forever, and that today, she wasn't sure she was strong enough to face the world. Before the viewers move deeper into the story, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of humanity, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps stories like this reach more hearts. Her name was Maya Parker, a 27-year-old who once ran half marathons, hiked mountains on weekends, and lived a life filled with movement, freedom, and plans. That was before the accident. Before the night a drunk driver ran a red light and shattered her leg beyond repair. The surgery saved her life, but took a part of it away too, her ability to walk without aid, her sense of safety, and, in many ways, her confidence. For months, she hid in her small apartment, drowning in physical therapy sessions and silent tears. Today was her first attempt to step back into normal life on her own, and even the short walk from her car to the café door felt like climbing a mountain. Inside the café, a man in his mid-30s sat with two children. He had the kind of face that softened when he looked at them, the kind of calm energy that made strangers feel safe around him. His name was Aaron Miller, a single dad raising his two kids, 6-year-old Leo, who wore green sweaters no matter the weather, and 3-year-old Emma, who held her father's shirt with one hand as if it were a lifeline. They had come here for their usual Saturday morning breakfast, pancakes for Leo, chocolate milk for Emma, and a strong coffee for Aaron, who hadn't slept well in days. For the past year, Aaron had been navigating single parenthood, juggling work, exhaustion, and the heavy silence of a home missing someone. His wife had passed away suddenly due to a heart condition, and every day since had been a battle between grief and responsibility. But he fought, day after day, because his kids needed him, and because the world doesn't stop for broken hearts. As Maya entered the café, struggling to adjust her crutches while balancing her weight, she noticed nearly every table was occupied. Her anxiety rose like a wave inside her chest. She hated the looks, those quick, pity-filled glances people gave her before pretending they hadn't looked. She hated the way her prosthetic leg clicked loudly, drawing attention she never asked for. Her pulse quickened, a rising panic threatening to swallow her. The only empty seat was at a long table, right across from Aaron and his kids. Her throat tightened. She didn't want to bother anyone. She didn't want to sit where people might stare. But she was tired. So tired. She approached slowly, her fragile courage cracking with every step. Aaron noticed her first. He gently lifted Emma onto his lap to make more room. Leo turned too, his wide, curious eyes following the movement of her crutches. Maya hesitated, her breathing uneven, her voice small and trembling as she tried to speak. "Can I sit here?" she whispered. She braced herself for rejection or at least hesitation, something that would remind her how out of place she felt in a world she was still relearning to navigate. But Aaron didn't hesitate, not even for a heartbeat. His voice was warm, steady, inviting. "Of course," he said softly. "Please, sit. Take your time." Something inside Maya cracked open, something fragile, something she had been holding together for too long. Tears welled up instantly, blurring her vision. Not because of his words alone, but because of the sincerity behind them. Because he treated her not as a burden, not as someone broken, but as a person who simply needed a seat. With slow movements, she lowered herself into the chair, exhaling a shaky breath. She felt Emma's small eyes on her, curious, innocent. Leo looked too, but there was no fear, no judgment. Only fascination and a child's natural honesty. Aaron sensed Maya's discomfort and gently redirected his kids' attention, but Maya surprised him by offering a tiny smile. "It's okay," she said softly. "Kids are honest. I prefer that." Aaron nodded, seeing a flicker of strength beneath her exhaustion. He sensed this woman had endured more than she was saying. The waitress came over, took their orders, and the café hummed with life around them. But at their table, something unexpected and fragile began to form, an invisible connection between strangers, tied by grief, struggle, and unsaid pain. Maya stared at her hands, her fingers trembling slightly. She hadn't spoken to many people in months, and now here she was, sitting across from a man who radiated kindness without even trying. She didn't mean to share her story. She never planned to. But grief has a way of spilling out when it finds someone gentle enough to hold it. She told Aaron about the accident. How the drunk driver had fled the scene. How she woke up in the hospital without her leg. How her life collapsed into therapy sessions, sleepless nights, and silent battles with her reflection in the mirror. She said she felt like half a person, like a broken photograph of who she once was. As she spoke, her voice kept breaking, but Aaron didn't interrupt. He didn't offer clichés or empty sympathy. He simply listened, his eyes reflecting a deep understanding. When she finished, Leo, innocent, thoughtful Leo, leaned closer to her and said, "You look strong." Those 3 little words hit her harder than anything she'd heard in months. Strong. Not broken. Not damaged. Not pitted. Strong. Tears streamed down her cheeks before she could stop them. She covered her face, embarrassed, overwhelmed. Aaron gently set a napkin near her hand, not pushing it into her space, simply offering it. "It's okay to cry," he said quietly. Maya's tears didn't stop for a long moment. She had held so much inside, fear, anger, loneliness, frustration. And here she was, at a simple café table, finally letting herself feel everything she'd buried. As her breathing steadied, she noticed Emma reaching toward her prosthetic leg with tiny curious fingers. Maya froze for a second but then nodded, allowing the little girl to touch it. Emma giggled softly, her big eyes full of fascination. "Cool," she said. For the first time in months, Maya laughed. It was small, fragile, but real. The tension in her chest loosened, a weight lifting slowly. She didn't feel like an outsider here. She didn't feel broken. She felt human again. Aaron then shared his story, not to compare, but because he sensed she needed to know she wasn't alone in pain. He told her about losing his wife, about struggling to accept that his children would grow up without their mother. He told her about the nights he sat in the quiet, trying to figure out how to be both parents at once. How overwhelmed he felt. How lonely. Their pain, different in shape but equal in depth, created a bridge between them. Maya realized something quietly profound in that moment. Pain doesn't just break people, it connects them too. They talked for over an hour. About loss. About fear. About rebuilding a life from the ruins. For the first time, Maya felt hope flicker inside her chest. She wasn't alone in the world. Others were hurting too. Others were fighting their way through days that felt impossible. And if they could do it, maybe she could too. Aaron saw her strength long before she saw it in herself. She eventually stood up to leave, steadying herself on her crutches. She expected that familiar surge of anxiety, but it didn't come. Not this time. She felt lighter. Stronger. Like the world wasn't as heavy as before. Before she turned away, Aaron said something she would never forget. "You're doing better than you think you are." Those words stayed with her long after she left the cafe. And something else happened too, something life-changing. Leo handed her his green sweater, insisting she keep it for bravery, and Emma blew her a kiss. Maya reached her car, sat inside, and cried again, but this time, they were tears of hope. She went home and made a decision. She would not let fear control her life anymore. She signed up for a support group. She went to physical therapy with a new determination. She began talking to people again. Day by day, she rebuilt herself, not into who she was before, but into someone stronger, kinder, and more resilient. Weeks later, she returned to the same cafe. Aaron was there with his kids, almost as if fate had planned it. This time, she didn't hesitate. She walked over, steady, confident, smiling. Aaron's face softened with recognition and something deeper. Leo jumped up to hug her. Emma offered her a half-eaten cookie. And Maya felt something bloom in her chest, something warm, unexpected, and beautiful. Connection. Healing. Maybe even the beginning of something new. Because sometimes, the people who enter our lives by accident become the ones who help us stand again. Before the story closes, if this journey touched your heart or reminded you of the beauty of kindness, please like, comment, and share this video.